Wow. I was not expecting this today. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I just didn't realize that it was going to be today. In an unprecedented move, if you haven't already heard, Sony's big new AAA live service game, Concord, is now officially dead. Starting on September 6th, this is just mere weeks after its launch, they are going to shut down the servers for Concord, and this has massive ramifications for not just PlayStation, but for the entire game industry. I'm going to explain all of that today, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Gamers, you won. PlayStation gamers, you also won. I know that's a very strange thing to say because a game just failed, but no, PlayStation gamers, you specifically won in this situation. I'm going to explain why. But first, let's just go and read PlayStation's official statement here. You can see over here on the PlayStation blog, this comes from the game director of Firewalk Studios, and he said, Concord fans, yes, the very few of you who are actually playing, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. First off, I'm really not sure about what community this person is talking about and how they've grown around this game for a mere 2 weeks. Whatever, besides the point. He continues on, however, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way that we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. So at the very least here, they're going to refund people who purchased the game. If you bought a physical copy over on PlayStation Direct, you're also going to get a refund. And hey, in that situation, you might actually have a little bit of a collector's item here because not very many people actually owns the physical edition for Concord. I guess a cool and embarrassing part of PlayStation history. This is legitimately possibly the biggest flop of all time from a big AAA company. At the very least here, it is the biggest flop of all time for PlayStation. It took them 8 years to develop this game. It cost them more than $200 million to develop this game, or at least allegedly. And they went out and acquired this studio because Herman Hulst, he saw this game under Jim Ryan's leadership. They saw this game and they said, hey, we need to have that game as a PlayStation exclusive. We need to go out and acquire this studio. It is just beyond imaginable that they somehow misread the market this much. That is not a great sign when it comes to their eye for live service games. And this here is the exact reason why I said PlayStation gamers won. See, I've seen people today try to turn this into a console war type of topic. And it's really not. This is not a console war topic. Everybody's on the same page here. Nobody wanted this game, including PlayStation gamers. They had a choice in all of this, and they said, no, we don't want this. And what this does is that it tells PlayStation, it tells the game industry as a whole to course correct. It says, hey, we don't want this. You know, I feel like a lot of these companies, a lot of modern day companies feels like they can just peddle anything out there and we just have to kind of accept it. We should just buy into it, whatever. But consumers do have power because we vote with our wallet. You know, these companies are in power because we give them money. If we don't give them money, that basically says we didn't want your product. And I do legitimately feel bad for the team at Firewalk that weren't in control, that weren't actually making the choices. They were just doing what they were told. But I don't feel bad for the leadership for these companies because they're the ones that made these decisions. And the more these games fail, the more they're going to either have to listen to what gamers actually want, or they're going to have to leave the industry. So I don't think that this failure is necessarily a bad thing for the game industry. I actually think that it's a good thing because it tells the game industry this is something that we don't want. This is something that PlayStation gamers don't want. It's something that gamers as a whole just does not want. And there's a lot of reasons as to why that's the case. And you know what? Let's just kind of go and talk about a few of those reasons. One is, first off, they decided to make a hero shooter in a very crowded market. I mean, it's clear as day that Concord is inspired by games like Overwatch. They wanted to kind of latch on to that game's success, but it seems like they missed all of the core things that actually made it successful in the first place. I mean, for starters, you have to kind of realize that Overwatch was a new experience when it first released. At that point in time, there wasn't a lot of games doing what Overwatch does. Yet, can we say the same thing about Concord? Is it really bringing anything new to the table? Or is it just another generic hero shooter in a very crowded market with also, by the way, a $40 price tag? Not exactly a recipe for success. So I'd say that was their first mistake. But even then, if you're making a hero shooter, what should probably be one of your main priorities? I mean, of course, you want good gameplay, but I would think that you would want to make a cast of characters that are likable and well-designed. You know, you look at something like Overwatch, and one of the main reasons that it had a lot of success is because people fell in love with its characters as soon as they saw them. They gave Tracer one glance and they said, yeah, I need to play that game. Her abilities were really cool. She had a great design. She had a cool personality. And that just radiated through the entire cast of characters. People loved Mercy, Tracer, Winston. There was Bastion. There's Reinhardt, Reaper, Roadhog, and the list just kind of goes on and on and on and on. They have amazing, amazing character designs with just a ton of charm to their personality. Now, can we say the same thing about Concord? Because it almost feels like they made a point to do the exact opposite. And that just did not resonate with gamers. And that is one of the most ridiculous things that I've seen online today. I cannot tell you how many people I've seen post on Twitter and try to explain why Concord failed, but somehow failed to recognize that its characters did in fact play a part. Let me explain this in a different way. Instead of focusing on realistic human characters, let's take a look at something a little bit more abstract. Let's take a look at characters that kids might like growing up. Because kids tend to like characters that are either cool or cute. This is a very normal thing. Kids grow up and they see characters like Sonic, or they see characters like Hello Kitty. They see characters like Yoshi or Mario, and they just resonate with them because they're cool, they're cute, and they want to be like them. It should not be a controversial statement to say that we like cool characters in video games. It should not be a controversial statement to say that character design and art design are important for really any type of media. It's the exact reason why we see so many independent games be artsy. They want to stand out. Look at something like the upcoming Plucky Squire. The number one thing that people like to talk about with that game is the art style. People like it, so they're interested. They looked at Concord, they didn't like its character design, so they weren't interested. So yes, it does absolutely play a part. It is one of the several reasons that Concord failed. It might not be the only reason, but it does play a part. And ignoring that does nobody any good. Now, like I said earlier, I feel like a lot of these companies feels like they can just peddle out whatever they want, you know, and I guess gamers are just supposed to buy that up. And while that might work to some extent for an established franchise, when you're a new IP, you're really living on your own. You know, you're going to find out real quick if what you want in your game resonates with your audience. And in this case, clearly, Concord did not resonate with the PlayStation audience. It did not resonate with the PC audience. It did not resonate with gamers. And that's why I keep saying that I think gamers won. They're sending PlayStation and the game industry a direct message. This is not what we want. You know, PlayStation gamers, they buy PlayStation consoles because they want single-player blockbuster games. And this is why I was very critical of Jim Ryan for years, because he really pivoted PlayStation over to live service games. And I'm fine if they want to make some live service games. I think there's actually a few that comes to mind that would be pretty interesting. Killzone, SOCOM, Twisted Metal. Factions 2, that would have been interesting, would have been different. At the very least, it would have been different. I mean, Concord's not. But yeah, I'm fine if you want to make some live service games, but you still have to listen to your audience. And I feel like that is one of the big problems with the game industry as a whole right now. Not just with PlayStation, but with the game industry across the board. I feel like there's a disconnect with these companies and then their core fan base. And who do you think I'm going to side with here? Of course, I'm going to side with the gamers. You gamers voted with your wallet. You said you don't want these type of games. Hopefully, the industry will see that. Hopefully, Sony will see that and pivot back to what gamers actually want. PlayStation gamers want those single-player blockbuster games. Maybe they should put more of their budget towards those games instead of giving the majority of the budget to live service, as Jim Ryan planned to do. Now, this probably won't be the complete end for Concord, though. You know, it does kind of sound like that they want to bring this game back eventually. My guess right now is they're going to take it offline. They're probably going to have to completely rework how this game operates, just from its progression system all the way to its economy, because when it eventually makes a comeback, it's probably going to be a free-to-play experience. Now, do I think that it's going to have success under that free-to-play experience? No, I really don't, because it still has some of the core problems that I've already talked about. There's other games on the market right now that does what Concord does, but it does it better. There's games out there that has better character designs that people might actually be interested in. The gameplay itself for Concord is nothing necessarily special. It's just completely generic. So even if it comes back as a free-to-play game, I think that, yeah, it might get more interest than what it currently has, which is next to nothing. But do I think it's going to be successful? No. I don't think there's much that they can salvage from Concord as it currently is. So I think I'm going to just go and end the video there. I know this video has probably been a little bit all over the place, and it's been a little bit different. You know, I didn't do my typical news dose video, but I felt like I had a lot to say about this specific topic. And, you know, I know some people are going to view this as like me just hating on PlayStation, but no, that's not true at all. I want PlayStation to get back to what they do best. That's what I want. I'm a gamer just like you guys. I like PlayStation games. I like Xbox games. I like Nintendo games. Truth be told, I really do just like games. You can believe what you want at the end of the day. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Till next time, peace out.